Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And thank you for joining us for our hot topics going into round 7. Wait no longer. We have a special guest for you tonight. Chris is going to have to pay him overtime because he's been held on the line. Swiz, you there?
I am there, boys. How are we?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Welcome back. Well, by popular demand for a third time, mate.
No, I appreciate it. I don't know about the popular demand bit, but no, it's good to be back.
Well, good things come in threes, apparently, so menage a trois.
Some good things.
Before we move on, though, on our socials, you can follow us, SC Insider 100, on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, you name it. For all the podcast needs, all your audio platforms, go to Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, PlayerFM, Podbean, you name it. And on the YouTube, Chris.
Yes, we are on YouTube as well. Search for Supercoach Insider. We just recorded our team podcast, and they'll be up on the line soon. On the line. So, Carnage Week. It is officially the first week of Carnage in the year, I believe. So, we've obviously had some injuries. Everyone's going to be dealing with their own little issues inside the team, from suspensions to injuries to 1 weekers to 12 weekers and everything in between. So, that's what this podcast is going to obviously focus on. I suppose we should get into it with Josh Dunkley being the the number one forward, closely followed by Jack Ziebell, being injured.
It's frustrating. Yeah, Josh Dunkley injured out for up to 16 weeks, and everything replacing Dunkley is Kmart version Dunkley. It's Wish version Dunkley. No matter how you name it, I don't like it.
Are we all in ownership of Dunkley? Are you, Swiz, you got Dunkley as well?
Absolutely, and I've got him in all my drafts and everything, so very frustrating.
Yeah, all good players have Dunkley, basically.
Only one person here has Neale, though. Is that right, Swiz, as well?
Quick pro quo, I brought in, I got rid of Josh Kelly finally, Josh Kelly, and I brought in Lockie Neale because it was a good time. It's a great time to get rid of Josh Kelly, and wouldn't you know it, I get rid of, here's the irony.
I think you probably would have been better holding Kelly, eh?
Fuck you. Here's the irony, right? Josh Kelly, injury prone, I start him, and I get rid of him not because he's injured. And what do? I bring in someone who gets injured. That's the irony. It's fucked up. Chris, it's both our birthdays, Saturday, Sunday. So do you want to quick cheers, my friend? Happy birthday.
And can we also say happy birthday to Swiz for, was it yesterday, mate, or?
Yeah, on Monday it was.
Oh, mate, happy birthday for Monday. And we'll toast a beer to you as well, my dear good sir.
Cheers. Chin.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. All right, so those are the two big injuries, obviously, and Dustin Martin, of course, is the other one. With the one, it looks like a 1 weeker for concussion.
Yeah, enjoy that.
So
Chris,
yeah, I actually brought in Dusty. So my trade plans last week changed to bring in Dusty, which was really great. Swiz, do you have Dusty as well?
I do not.
Woohoo! Party,
motherfucker.
We got to celebrate those ones for those who don't have him. So let's talk about strategies.
Yes. Who wants to lead off? So so most people have Dusty.
Yep.
So I
71%.
think consensus on that. I think all three of us would say hold at this point.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, if you have Dusty, you hold him for a week.
As long as you're obviously not getting zero.
The only way you don't hold Dusty is if he goes to New Zealand and somehow there's some quarantine when he comes back, which would be
really suck.
Stupid. So yes.
Just fly a single plane over there to just pick him up and then come back. I'm okay with it. I think that's an easy one.
Yep.
And I think the other two are easy trades.
Oh, the premiums you have to. Yep. Easy trades. Lockie Neale, if you're in a draft league, don't be stupid. Someone dropped him in my school draft league. I'm like, why? He's out for 8 weeks, mate. Hold him.
So then the strategy moves to, okay, so do you just get best available? Because you've got some really nice price points to work with. You know, they didn't go out on a 50.
No.
Or a 29 like Ridley or whatever it was that you got. 31, I think it was. So you've got options. You can really go to any player in the game pretty much with a 1 down, 1 up. So I think Gawn's like still 750. So you could still, if you don't have Gawn, you could still technically go 1 down, 1 up over to Gawn. But it just leaves so many possibilities out. Now, what are you guys leaning towards? I'll get Swiz's ideas first, and then we'll come back to you, Ben. But Swiz, what is your thinking in terms of how to manage this with just Josh Dunkley?
We've just with Dunks at the moment. Well, I'm running Ziebell, Walker, Impey, so that the decision comes: do I want 3 or 4 rookies on field?
Yep.
And it really comes down to sides being named on Friday night before the Bulldogs game to see which way I go there. At the moment, I'm quite deep. I see a lot of sides with only 3 premium midfielders. I'm running Taranto at M5, so probably the forward is the way I'm looking at in Zorko. But if these rookies are named, it'd be a luxury for me to go to, say, a Bont or another premium mid, which would, obviously shore up my midfield.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's where I'm leaning towards, and there's 2 reasons for that. First of all, the forwards suck. So, and I don't even have Tex. So for me, this week, even though I brought in Dusty last week, he'll miss this week, which means I'm guaranteed to whatever I do, minimum 3 rookies on field. So I kind of have to bring in a forward, which is going to suck. I'm hoping that these rookies don't get dropped, which would really put me in a bad situation. But yeah, I think for me, I absolutely must bring in a forward, and then it's okay. Well, what's my best available option? I'm with you on the Zorko, but we'll go through a few different options. And the other reason why I like Zorko from the Dunkley price point is it gives you another 150K to actually go and actually make an upgrade this week. So you can potentially do that depending on how your side's playing up.
So that's the strategy you're thinking. Hey, P.S. I'm not sure I like this. Chris just fucking half hosted for a second.
I did. Did you like that?
No, I did not.
You know what I did? I took your stick and I went, no, it is mine.
I'm biding my time, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I don't like this.
I don't know what this is happening.
Is this what Chris feels like all the time?
Possibly. I think that is a worthwhile strategy. So that's the same thing I'm looking at. Do you go 2 bona fide premiums to 2 other premiums? Is there any wriggle room where if you go with slightly cheaper option, are you in the market then to go and upgrade a rookie next week? Now, take in mind that strategy includes the fact that there's not many rookies on the market at the moment to downgrade. So if you're not going to be able to go 1 down, 1 up next week, and it looks like there's nothing on the horizon, going for a slightly cheaper option to allow you that cash to upgrade another rookie on field next week is actually a pretty good play.
I actually think that there's a little bit better rookies next week than there is this week. So the fact that you sort of almost forced into a 1 down, 1 up from Dunkley, it actually helps if you've already got a little bit of cash in bank that you can actually make an upgrade with. So for me, I'm happy missing all of these rookies. Finn McRae looked average at best. Might not even be named this week. We've already got word that Caleb Poulter is a Poulter, however you want to pronounce it.
Poulter.
He's debuting, which means, and if you look at the Collingwood lineup, DeGoey's coming back and he's been confirmed, and so is Keane. So to me, it looks like they'll probably move Will Kelly back forward. Trey Rusco goes out of team because he's an absolute spud. And then you've got 2 more outs. For me, those 2 outs have to be Rantle and McRae. Now, that sucks for people that brought in McRae early, but he just... I blame Buckley because he didn't really play him on the ball at all this week and the ball, again, just barely entered the 450. But the only real forward rookie that performed last week was Bo McCreary with 3 goals, even though he only got 47. He proved to be impactful in the game. So I think he's safe, but I just can't say that, for certainty that Rantle and McRae are safe this week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. People are going to really hate that information, but it is unfortunately classic Collingwood. And we alluded to that a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the other forwards on the bubble all look pretty average, or then they're like 175K. You got Atu, Boston Olavagi, and Farah. They also look
Yeah.
Job security issues.
Nothing setting my world alight, which is, and even then, it's a real meh week.
Do you have any rookies that you're looking at there, Swizzy, or you're completely over them this week?
I've already got Finlay. I've already been from the start, so I don't have to look about him. The only one that people seem to be jumping on after his 90-odd was Robertson last week, but he's obviously had 1 price rise.
Yep.
And he's now 225 off the top of my head.
Yep.
I can understand people's appeal because they're thinking with Neale out there and he's a bit of a ball magnet. There might be an opportunity there for him to get some more games, but I didn't bring him in because job security was a bit of a worry and that higher price. And we've seen with rookies like Chapman's a prime example. Yeah, plays that one or two good games. 2 games later, it's 50 and could be dropped. So I like the higher price rookies.
I think Golden and Warner say high as well.
Well, but not only that, they start off really well, but then their bodies catch up quickly and find out what it's actually like to play league footy week in, week out.
Yeah.
I don't like Robinson for that reason. I think if he was a rookie price 123 or even if he'd gone up to 140 odd, sure, I would have brought him in. I think that's a reasonable price. 220 odd, I am not touching him. I know the appeal. Job security probably, goes up. He has been impressive enough. However, his body won't handle that kind of workload. I think Reece, the Beast, Matheson has to come in. He's killing it in the seconds. He's old enough now. He's mature enough now. His body's ready. He's been in a long list behind looking for some inside minutes. So I think he is the one that they're going to turn to. He's old enough.
On Matheson for a moment, for those draft players out there,
I've already got him.
I know I've gone out and got him in 3 of my leagues. So that's one. If he still happens to be on the waiver, you might want to chuck him on your bench.
I've got him even before teams are named. I am heavily confident they're going to look to him. Plus, he's mature and old enough. He knows the system. He knows the team structure, what they're going for.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think they're going to try and get a bit more reliability because last week, after they kept losing, the Lions actually went and turned back to how it was, old school, right? McCluggage, Berry, you're on the wings. Zorko, Lyons, Neale, you're in the guts, and they kind of went back to what was working because
they're going to have to,
and they have to.
That's what I mean. This is why Zorko is such a impressive pick because I think that he's a guy that can go on a run for 110 to 120 while Neale's out, and that's going to really put teams that have him well above the pack.
So is that a segue? Are we going straight into forwards and looking at Zorko starting off?
Could be. Just before we do that, I also agree with you guys on Robertson. I don't think that that's a really good pick. It's unfortunate that Eli Smith is injured right now, and that's why he won't get any time here, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unlucky.
But looking forward to next week's rookies, I do see Frederick as a guy who looks like has leapfrogged Bergman in that back line. So I got a little bit of job security. He played electric on the weekend and scored a nice handy, I think it was an 88 from memory. And Thilthorpe looked fantastic as a second foil next to Tex with who was played off the pine that looked absolute Tom McDonald, was it? No, it's not Tom McDonald. What's his name? Centre half forward for Adelaide.
I don't know why you're looking
at.
No, the old stager.
Oh, it's in Tom Lynch.
Tom Lynch, the other one. Yeah.
Tom Lynch off the pine.
Tom Lynch was terrible, and he looks to be still injured.
Tom Lynch, you're talking about the guy that came in late subbed?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was a debacle.
It was a huge debacle, and he looked terrible, and Thilthorpe looked fantastic. He's got a little bit of job security there. So I do think that even if he does go well, unfortunately, he's obviously an elevated rookie, but if he plays well this week, he'll be in because there's just nothing on the forward line. And you need to have a little bit of backup. With Waterman dropped, most people are only running one playing rookie on their pine. It could be dropped at any time. Flynn, you don't even know what cash sort of he's making, so I actually don't mind Thilthorpe next week if he goes well this week as well. So it could be one down, one up from Dunkley to it, and then 2.
I think that's
double
horrible.
Down next week.
Thilthorpe, even the coach said he will probably be managed at some point. He's not even guaranteed best 22. He wasn't actually that impressive in the sample, but you never know what players are going to do when they get into the actual AFL, and he was impressive. But the guy said he'll probably be rested at some point. He's not guaranteed best 22. I don't like those odds. I really don't. And that was in his press conference.
Well, then you kick 5 goals and you're
well, 5 goals,
you can do whatever you want.
But hey, look, Cozzy kicked 5 goals, but he's still a fucking muppet.
But he's still getting games.
Still making me money, Chris. How's that money in your pocket that you don't have?
You motherfuckers.
Triggered.
I'm gonna say,
triggered.
You motherfuckers that fucking have Cozzy and just got lucked into it. Lucked into it because you had a 0 on your field because Highmore wasn't named and fucking Ridley was fucking not there. Those are the guys, they shouldn't be here.
Chris needs to get a handle on himself.
Are you one of those, Swiz?
No, I didn't have him. I copped the donut and that. I was still lucky enough to still score 23.61 with the donut. But, yeah, that frustrated me greatly because I'm looking at it going, I'm making so many points on everybody and then just watching teams around me have Cozzy and that advantage just...
Every time he touched the ball, I was just like, stop it! Like,
and I kept updating the group chat. I was like, he's got 3, he's got 4, and he's got 5, ladies and gentlemen.
That one that he just got out the back, I'm just like, come on.
Anyway, last touch on rookie before the longest segue ever into Zorko.
You're welcome.
It's not a segue if you say one more thing, Chris.
Sorry, segue?
Cockatoo, 123,000. He's not listed as injured anymore. I am looking for him. I don't know why. Maybe it's a desperate plea, trying to see if he's got any form coming in. But he is someone that could actually spark some dynamite and some limited experience to the Brisbane team.
Surely he has to play a little bit in the.
Well, I'm trying to find full stats. I got to see if he's actually playing.
You mean VFL stats?
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, kind of.
Anyway, that's it. Zorko, 485,000 is a nice price point. He banks you 150k on Dunkley if you are trying to get rid of him. He's averaging a nice crisp 94.3 for the year. Sounds worse than it is though. He's had 4 tons basically. When you look at his stats, he has gone 114, 115, 101, 102. 400s out of 6, not bad odds, particularly when you're looking at leagues and overall. Obviously, Geelong didn't do well with the 64 and the Bulldogs with the 70. But again, I do share the thoughts that Zorko will be playing predominantly more midfield. They have to revert back to what it was. He's an experienced head. He's the captain. He needs to kind of be in there to sort of show them what needs to be done. I expect his tackle numbers to be up as well. My concern with Zorko is he had that foot issue last year. He said he's going to kind of have to manage it. I think it went pretty well for him in the preseason, but he's not young. He's older. Can he handle those minutes in his leg? Is he going to break down? And I'll flag this over to you, Swiz, in a sec. You also have Took Miller coming up. And with no Neale, Took Miller is he has to be all over Zorko. He loves that kind of attention.
Yeah, he's got a history of going to Zorko, and that is my one worry. The hope is McCluggage goes ham this week.
Hugh McClugger.
They go Miller to, what's that, in 2 weeks' time? 3 weeks, round 9.
Round 9, yeah.
So hopefully McCluggage goes bang, bang, and then they go to McCluggage with the lockdown and leave Zorko alone.
Leave Brittany alone.
I actually completely agree with you. One thing that, if you notice those scores from Zorko, is he hasn't hit his real stride yet. Like, look at his high score versus all the opponents upcoming. 163 versus Port Adelaide, 129 against Freo, 159 against Gold Coast, 141 against Richmond. Like, he's a guy that has high-end scoring potential. So, if you look at the forwards right now, they all fucking suck.
Yeah.
They really suck.
Or have question marks.
Right.
I agree.
Well, can I intervene in that spot? And I'm looking at it now. So Toby Greene, fair enough. We know what Toby does, and he seems to be relishing the captaincy. But outside of him, and then still Sidebottom, who, depending on what Bucks wants to do with their role each week, outside of that, you're looking at Tom McDonald, Harry McKay, Aaron Norton, Tom Atkins, Cozzy Pickett. This is the highest scorers and the top-ranked forwards we've got. So outside of Zorko, maybe Sidey or Toby, there is no one else.
Right. And
the thing I actually don't mind about it, Zorko increases his average for the next, say, 6 weeks, right? Let's just assume that Lachie Neale creates a remarkable recovery, comes back in 6 weeks. They then have North Melbourne, Geelong and Adelaide coming out of that. Now, even if he plays half mid, half forward, he can still hit the scoreboard. They also then play, Saints, Hawks, Gold Coast.
The run home after
Freo coming home is also quite good.
He's opened up, potentially for the rest of the season, a really, really good run because he's now he's likely going to have a role that's going to be conducive to scoring for the next however long until Lachie Neale comes back. And then when he does come back, he's going to be a small forward playing against bottom 8 teams. So... look, I just don't think that there's much of a reason not to get him. I think he's the number 1 target from a Dunkley if you're going for a forward line guy. I think we're probably, by the sound of things, I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, I think my only concern is his foot in the tag, but it's not enough to kind of overrule. I think he beats Sidebottom. He beats, at this point, Marshall for me, which we'll get into. And Heeney and everyone else. I think he's
the other thing I'll say just on Touk Miller is that he's become more of an offensive mid this season. They're not really playing him as a tagger, and the reason is they don't have the Raul. That if Raul was playing and he could be that guy that you go head to head with, but instead they're using Touk as that guy. So I don't necessarily think he plays a hard tag this season anyway.
And the last thing of my point would be about Zorko would be because of that COVID game, the Lions had to come here, down to me in Victoria. It means the Lions now finish the last 4 games at the Gabba, which, especially for those who've just played league, Supercoach final, Zorko is going to be home for the last month.
I love that. That is why Swiz is on this podcast, because that is a perler right there. You just put that little cherry on top just to make everyone's like on the edge, and you're like, nah, here you go.
Swiz, have you told the missus you're coming to Brisbane round 10 for Richmond versus Brisbane at the Gabba?
She wouldn't buy it for my birthday present and that.
Well, treat yourself. Otherwise, look, tell your missus that's fine, but now she has to buy tickets for Chris and myself to go down around 18.
You choose your refill.
Yeah. Choose your. Hey, we're taking baby on a trip. Okay, so let's move on now. So, let's look at these other options. Let's go with Rowan Marshall is my next one. Rowan Marshall has played 2 games. He still has a pretty high break even, but I can understand why he had such a good game this week. Some people are thinking, hey, who cares? He's still $5.57. He's much cheaper than Dunkley. I can still bank a little bit of cash. Break even at 146, averaging 91. But he did go big this week with a 132. How concerned are you boys about Marshall and Ryder coming into that side?
Well, my issue initially is because of that Ryder factor. If we knew Ryder wasn't playing, and that Marshall would be the biggest lock out of anybody.
Absolutely, he'd be the number 1 forward by. Oh, actually, I lie. Ziebell's just like destroying it. By the way, Ziebell, can we just say if you don't have Ziebell, you should probably just get Ziebell at this point as well?
Ziebell's on our next discussion.
Okay, cool. I'm just sorry. But yes, I completely agree with you, Swiz. Keep going.
So Paddy Ryder coming in, big issue. What about the fact that Saints aren't winning? Do you want a forward from a crappy team that's not winning games in your team?
Well, they surely can't keep playing this bad because they have been pathetic. Like the West Coast game, they should have lost that, and I don't know what the Eagles did in the second half. But I went to the Essendon game and watched them stink that up, and then the Richmond game as well. Obviously, Richmond's been a good team over the last 4 years, but still, like for what St Kilda are meant to be delivering, they look terrible, and they've scored 39, 48 and 68 points, which doesn't bode well if you're playing more key forward. So they do have a couple of easier games coming up with the Hawks and the Suns, which you'd want to turn it around. But at the same time, I don't like picking key position players in teams that are down the bottom of the ladder.
I completely agree. I think the other thing as well, I mean, they look like they play in bursts. So when you watch St Kilda play, they get on runs. And if they can't get on a run and ride over the top of you, they look like flat track bullies. When it's a tough contest, and I just feel like the other team just always has the upper hand. They're just getting beaten around the ball. But if they can get a goal or two, and they can just run over the top of you. They just stop running. They stop running defensively. I'm not enjoying watching them play right now. It's really, really sad, actually. And what's interesting is that Steele is in that midfield, and he's absolutely dominating. Like, he's giving them first service, and they're not delivering on the outside. So I'm not really sure where the cog is that they're missing. It hurts. Like, Brad Crouch, honestly, for all of the numbers he's putting up, he's never, ever been a good midfielder. I don't know about you guys. I've never rated him as an actual mid. And him coming in, I don't think improves them at all. Like, I would, and Gresham out hurts them immensely, but can't handle Brad Crouch, especially when you've already got a guy like Jack Steele that can rack up the possessions inside. But you need someone that's going to be able to, first of all, be a two-way running midfielder, and second of all, deliver the ball inside 50. And he's just not it.
I think Saints just sent out way too many postcards for offers and got too many people saying yes, and they didn't want to turn them down.
True. Now, obviously, this links back to Ron Marshall. I'm with you, Swiz. We don't have enough information. I don't really mind that Ryder's coming back, but I just want to see him. Like, even if it's
you want to see
100,
it. You want to see it, though. That's the thing I'm saying. I don't want to bring him in now because at the moment we're in this predicament. We need to bring in someone now. I want to see more before I bring in Marshall.
I'm probably leaning towards Marshall as my last forward upgrade. So that's probably going to be round 15 as my last team upgrade because he has the last buy. So I get a big sample size. He's going to drop in price. He's not going to be 550K at that point. You probably pick him up around 500K. And for me, that's a little bit more comfortable than jumping on him early. And then if he fails, you're going to be like one of the only people that brought him in super early, right? Like you're going to be... Yeah.
The only other people are bringing him in super early if you have, say, Neale and another issue in your team that you haven't fixed.
Like a ruck or something.
Bring him in a ruck instead.
And you are holding Dunkley for a week. And then you get to see that extra week in Marshall. He drops 20-odd K.
Yeah.
And if he performs, then you can make the move. And I've heard a few people saying, I might have to hold Dunkley this week just because they're trying to fix other issues. That's the only way I see Marshall, coming in for those teams.
Yeah, completely agree with you.
I think that's the big thing. If you have bigger issues, deal with that first and then work your way back. But yeah, for me, Marshall, I think I'm happy to even pay $550 again for him a little bit later.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go up in price, right? He's not going up.
But not only that, I want to see Saints improve with Paddy Ryder tapping it down, Marshall at the front. Maybe they get a bit more familiarity in that forward line. Everything starts to fall in place because that's what they won with last year. You get more of those cogs back in place, everything starts to flow.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said about, being able to, and having the luxury to move Marshall forward and having that double 10 and ruck. You got to remember how good, especially at the back end of last year, Ryder was.
Oh, very good.
Like missing him is massive for that midfield. So
tap ruckman.
Yeah, he's one of the best tap ruckmen in the league. So hopefully that will actually straighten them up as well. Because what have they been running up for? They've been running Max King and Membry. And Membry really is a third tall. Like he's not really a full forward. He's a lead up third tall. So
don't tell somebody that who runs another particular page and that because apparently he's the greatest player to ever play the game.
Actually, I meant to comment on that earlier because we're having Peroni because they're in the fridge. I don't have much time, and I was going to say I was going to get Coopers, but I realised we're never going to have Coopers on this page.
I don't get it.
Coop?
That's as close as people should ever get on this page or on this podcast.
AFL draft was it?
Is that run by a guy called Cooper?
Yeah, some guy.
No idea.
It's better that way. It's better that way, Chris, that you don't know.
Apparently, YouTube had to say everything has to be child-related because he is underage.
Oh, Jesus. All right, well, so I think that we're all in a same consensus, like probably not with Marshall, but if you're desperate, then it's not a bad out.
I just think it's a bit more risky. I want to see it.
There are people that already have Zorko, for example.
Correct. Or I'd like to see 6 games or a few of Marshall, get him to the bye, and then you'll know if his foot holds up and if his role's conducive and move on. Sidebottom, Chris, what the F is happening? Let's bring up Sidebottom's stats.
Well,
He's dropped a stack, though.
We've already discussed it. And the thing is...
Briefly.
Nathan Buckley right now, I love that he comes out 2 weeks ago and says, we're not playing the kids. That's a bad thing to say. Since then, he's had 3 debuts and played Nathan Murphy his first game in like however long. Mark Keane in his first game this season. Like, dude, okay, we're not playing the kids yet. You're playing. Last week we had 6 players with under 3 games of experience, but we're not playing the kids. All right, cool, man. So on any given week, you've got DeGoey coming back this week. His role is just shit. Like, I wouldn't be touching Sidey because he's the guy they plug everywhere right now, being like, you can play here, you can do this, you can do that. He's just getting thrown all over the place. I'm more of a, if he's there at the end and he's good value, sure, but I'm not rushing out to get him, I can tell you that. He's still $490. He's more expensive than Zorko.
Yeah, I know. That's the upsetting part. I'd be going Zorko over him. Also,
Swiz?
He's dropped a lot, though. He has dropped 94,000.
Not enough.
For good reason. Yeah, for good reason. We said he was overpriced.
Yeah. What do you think, Swiz?
No, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, they've got a fair draw coming up with the Suns, North, and the Swans. But, it just depends what Bucks decides to do in a game. And if they are winning comfortably, he might then just send him forward and then throw some of the kids in. If they're within the chance of winning in that, he'll go in the middle. But he seems to chop and change depending on their situation, and Collingwood seem to be a team a little lost on the direction they're going. Buckley's trying to win games to save his own job, and we'll put Pendles inside in there, but at the same time he's trying to show the message that, no, we're playing the kids, and we need to show that we're putting the kids in the guts. So if that was clearer, then I'd be like, yeah, let's jump on Sidey, but I can't tell some.
Here's my concern. If a guy in a team that looks like they're playing finals in COVID gets absolutely shit-faced, ends up naked somewhere, imagine what he's going to do in a bottom four side. Like, if they're not finals bound and they're bottom four and he's like living the highlight reel of all the talent he used to have in his team.
Vice captain.
Who knows what's going to happen to Sidebottom? You'll be on bender so hard he'll end up at Lambert's house.
No, well, I honestly think that his best role is still half forward, flank, and wing. But, and really, in my opinion, and I'm not the coach, but you bring these kids in, you bring your McRae and your Rantals in, you play them in the midfield where they're actually racking up the pill, or at least get them on a wing. Like, don't play them out of a four pocket. Playing Josh Thomas and Cal Brown out of the centre square this week is just the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. They are not inside ball winners. They're just not. They haven't been for years. That's why they don't play in that position. Like, I don't get it. So, and then he throws Sidebottom in, like, just stupid. Like, doesn't make any sense.
The other thing with Sidey, for his entire career, especially the time he spent on the wing, he's had Swan, Pendlebury, Treloar, Adams. There's some really good inside midfielders that take the pressure off him, but also can deliver the ball to the outside to him. He just doesn't have that anymore. Like, Pendles is still a great player, but, he's, 33 now? So it makes it more difficult for Sidey to find that cheap ball outside. If he's out of position or playing sort of more deep forward, half forward, depending on what the goalie's role is, it makes he's scoring, fluctuate, and it's a struggle to want to pick him.
Fair call. Moving on to Jack Ziebell. Now, I had some strong words out on the line this week, people talking about bringing in Jack Ziebell. And my opinion was, why would you want to pay $283,000 more than everyone else got him for? Is he still worth bringing in?
It doesn't matter because he's a must-have. He's the second highest averaging player in Supercoach right now.
Yeah, right now. Are you going to bank on him to continue averaging that, or are you better off going with someone else and hoping that the tides change?
Well, my question to that would be, what is going to happen to him to make him not do that? And the only real thing really is injury. So if you think he might get injured, because, obviously he's been a little bit injury prone over his career, then sure. But outside of that, he's the only user out of that defense that doesn't turn the ball over. Literally. Like, every single one of them, because the way, basically what, is it, who's the Noble? Is it the coach there, right? What he said to his players is he wants to play a certain way and he doesn't care about the mistakes you make. So he's saying, we want to play that short kicking out of defense. We want to try and pierce through the zones, and then we want to go fast. That's what they want to do. And they just continually do that every single week. And what it's doing is, Ziebell is the only one that's using it out of defense well. And then everyone else is turning it over. It's coming back the other way, going another point. He's getting another kick out, and he's doing it all again. And it's fucking hilarious to watch. I can tell you right now, he just kicks it to someone. They kick it to the opposition. The opposition kicks it behind. He gets the ball again. He kicks it. It's so fucking hilarious.
Or he kicks it to someone. They kick it to turnover. They kick it back. He gets an intercept mark, and let's start again.
It's great. It's fucking hilarious watching it. Have you seen Jack Ziebell play this week lately, Swiz?
I have.
It's fucking. I just love it. Like, there's nothing better than just like, hey, every time, hey. It should be a drinking game every time he gets a cheap possession. It's fantastic.
Write that
down. Okay, I have kind of changed my stance since then. With Dunkley going out, I think it's diabolical. Dunkley, Neale, I think you need all the high averaging players you can get. Particularly have a look at your league matchups. It's either going to cost you a game, most likely, or it's going to help nullify that. So have a look at your league. If not many people have Ziebell, then jump on him ASAP.
There's I'd expect nearly everyone to have him because it's 56%, except for Grimo. I'm not too sure if he finally brought him in.
He's also going to make another 100K, guys.
Well, that's it. Ziebell's like nearly one of the best. He's one of the best cash cows.
He's the best really rookie that we have this week.
Projected 58,000. Jesus.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely think Ziebell is a must have. Yeah, I mean, depending on what else your team needs, if you don't have Ziebell, then you're really, really far behind. Another one that I want to touch on, guys, is Tom Phillips, and I don't know why we're not talking more about him.
That's Tom Phillips. Chris has just decided that he needs some comedic value. Tom Phillips. Now, this is a shout out to Corey from SC Elites. I did agree with him, though, saying 92 or whatever. I didn't want to join in on the action because I thought he might have done all right. But he is, 16 points underneath
Had his best
average.
week this week, mate, 83.
So it's like, so what is he? What is he? Yeah, 38th forward. Yeah, but he had a great week though.
Oh, dude! And there was one kick that he got that it was like literally off the instep, going the complete opposite direction. It just happened to land in the chest of a Hawks player that kicked a goal. Like, it was a complete miss kick and just came off the side of his boot. And I'm just like, wow, his miss kicks are the only ones that actually hit targets.
I think I saw him kick one out in the full, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Oh, Figures."
It's just
That should be his name, not Tom Phillips. Figures, because every time he does something, you're like, "Oh, Figures."
I like
Figures.
it. Well
figures.
done. Jump off that train if you have him.
Yeah, right. So Corey SC Elites, mate, you might as well just pay up because I don't think Phillips is increasing. I don't think he's averaging like 100 for the rest of the season to balance that out. Next one is Toby Greene. So now, Swiz spoke about him a little bit. Toby Greene, do you have enough flog room in your team?
If you've traded out to Goey, you've got enough flog room.
That is true. We should ask Grimo about that one also. But now he has reformed, ladies and gentlemen. He's been going to church every Sunday. I've been speaking to his mother. Is he prone to break out and punch someone in the face at any minute?
I think the captaincy is doing him some good. So why he's sort of in that leadership role and that he's looking like a man who wants to lead his team over the line or give it the best shot. So we know he always averages around that sort of 95-100 mark anyway. So I think he's just a solid option. He looks like he's more consistent this year too. So he's not going to probably throw out the big 150 in that, but get you 90 to 100 each week. Playing the role that he is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think his scoring is an issue. I think it's more games played. However, I'll say that with a caveat, because right now, no one in that GWS forward line looks like taking a score. Hogan comes in this week. Now, I'm not saying that changes overnight. I'm just saying that is another forward option that they will likely want to kick to, because obviously he's a very strong forward. Finlayson and Himmelberg and who else are they running down there? Riccardi. They are not the solution. They are not the answer moving forward for that club at all. I have no idea how they re-signed Finlayson to some ridiculous contract extension. Is Hogan the answer? He was a fail at Freo, but at Melbourne he put together some very, very good seasons, and he can even swing up onto the wing. So I just want to see that play out a little bit. And also, obviously, GWS is shit. Like, they have been shit this year. Now, does that turn around? We got, again, Hogan, Whitfield announced to be available for selection, and there's a little bit of a rumour saying that he will play this week. He played a half in the VFL last week. That's going to obviously help their team immensely because their ball movement has been shit.
If Josh Kelly pumps out a 120 this week, I'm going to be I'm going to be so livid. You have no idea.
I will love it. I will love every second of it. I've still got him in my draft team, obviously, because no one will take him.
No.
I can't get a bag of chips for Josh Kelly right now.
You might be able to sideways Josh Kelly for a Crips, but would you want to?
No.
No, would you want to?
No way.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Now, the interesting thing for GWS, Adelaide this week, Essendon, Richmond, West Coast coming up. So North Melbourne, not too far away. I think they're about 6 rounds away. So there is some opportunity for Toby Greene. I think I agree. The captaincy's done him well. Poor Cornelio, apart from the fact, signs a massive contract. They give him the contract, and it's all his right now.
I was like, Emilio!
Yes.
And I honestly expect that captaincy to be taken away. Toby Greene looks much more settled, much more influential, and he stands up.
You don't know what happens behind the scenes. I mean, I still rate Cogs as a player. He's just, I think he's, again, for a large part of his career, he's been played out of position. So, I mean, there's that. Can we just say, like, Leon Cameron, if the Giants don't even make a sniff towards the 8 this year, is he done?
Well,
yes.
If the Giants don't make the 8, the only sniff will be going to Mumford.
I love that they've just gotten onto the fact that Mumford's still their best ruckman.
Which you said.
Oh man, yeah, that's another thing as well.
Swiz.
Like, so if Mumford ggets named this week, what does that mean for Flynn? Do we just offload him?
I think you wait for one more price rise if you can, and then bump him off. Flynn, Swiz, I don't think you laughed at my cocaine joke enough, mate.
Oh, well done. All right,
okay, moving on. Tom McDonald. Now, we don't want to talk about him, but I feel like we have to because some people are being sold into a false sense of security. Now, this is where Tom McDonald comes, probably second last in a forward announcement. Take note, please, Dr. Supercoach. You don't talk about Tom McDonald straight up in your podcast ever, even if there's a fire.
So, obviously, in the VFL this week, Ben Brown and Sam Wiedemann both played. So, where does that mean Tom McDonald plays? They flagged him to play in defence again this year. So does he move back there with Sam May still injured? Who knows? But all I know is there is just so many question marks over Tom McDonald. It's definitely not worth the money grab to grab him. You just don't know. There's not enough information. No chance in hell.
Not even the money grab. I think people are picking him because they think he's a good option and he's a cheaper price point. But yeah, I just can't fathom. He's done well so far. Yes, granted.
Forwards are shit, thow. I mean, that's one thing well. I'll tell him. Forwards are shit.
Yeah,
but
not
are they
bad
that
enough.
Shit?
No, they're not. I mean, it helps Melbourne are winning, but again, Ben Brown is definitely best 22 material. What Melbourne are doing right now, it works. But you add another person in, and things change, and that's going to really, really, really affect his role in his scoring. I'm just not that confident in him continuing his run.
I agree. What do you reckon, Swiz?
And we've, everyone's looking at their draw going, okay, they got North Sydney, Carlton, Adelaide, Melbourne are flying, so why can't he continue? But Wiedemann's kicked 10 and Brown 7 in the last 2 weeks of the VFL.
Yeah.
So you've got two guys who are knocking the house down. And the temptation for Melbourne, they're playing North this week in Ben Brown's hometown to bring him, in maybe a week earlier than they were going to. I could definitely see that. And then how do they structure up with Jackson down there? Gawn's been playing a bit more forward. Tom McDonald could push further up the ground, but I think there will be, as we've already said, a lot of competition for key tools up there, and also. The kicking targets. So I don't know if Tom McDonald in the long term is going to be a good option.
Write that down.
Swiz, how do you sleep at night with so many good thoughts running through your head? Ben Brown coming back early because they're playing in his hometown and he's kicked a lot of goals. Man, where does this come from?
17 conversations on the train.
Probably. No, like that. I actually quite dig that.
So well done, mate.
Don't bring in McDonald. You heard it here, Swiz. Swiz gives you all the good info, guys. So
I have a lot of time driving around Melbourne's train network, so got to think about something, I guess.
There you go. He eavesdrop and a pervert, so multi-talented on the Swiz train. Two to go.
Train. I love that. We're going to call any train that you're driving is the Swiz train.
Welcome to the Swiz train. 2 more to go. Bolton and Heeney.
I did give you that story where it did happen last week at Flinders Street. So, who actually somehow recognised my voice. So shout out to whoever that was who listens to this podcast. But good work. Keep listening and that. And I'm happy to, I guess, answer your questions.
Can you give us a next station? That's awesome.
I like that. I was actually waiting for him to say it.
Yeah, it did. Pussy.
Yes. Okay, so 2 more to go. Shai Bolton and Heeney. So Bolton, 453, has been a popular opinion. Swiz can see the rationale. I was under the opinion I am not picking him under any circumstances. I then had a look at his stats and I'm like, oh yeah, not too bad. But my concern when we look at Bolton is he's gone the last 85, 88, 29, 110, 110, 99. So he has done well the last 3 weeks. That 29, though, I was starting to think, well, was he injured? Maybe there was an issue and that kind of thing. But he just was not. He had 82% time on ground and just didn't do well.
That was more his role that day because I think we brought back Prestia in that match, and I think Prestia might have got injured. Cotchin was playing as well. So why those guys are out, I can see the appeal. But what happens when Dusty, Prestia, Lambert all come back into the side? Bolton obviously gets moved back down to the forward line.
Yep. Do you think it's a big sort of trick play where Bolton goes really well this week, everyone goes absolutely nuts, brings him in, and then all of a sudden, Prestia's still a few weeks away, but he falls off a train. I just think he is not top 10 worthy, and I know forwards are bad, but again, I don't think they're that bad.
I don't think he's... Look, I mean...
He's okay.
He's not even really value. Because all the forwards are like this price, right?
Or within 60K, basically.
Yeah. I just don't really see it as... he's not a must-have. He's not going to burn you. He's scoring all right. But, I mean, let's say best-case scenario, what is the average? 95 to 100? Okay. Well...
Yep.
Yeah. It's not exactly... that's best-case scenario. I think his worst case in his bottom line is somewhere 85 to 90.
Yeah, I don't like him.
He's not a terrible pick. It's just it's just an pick. It's
Yeah, I do agree. And last one, Isaac Heeney, 411,000, break even at 144. So even then, you could probably wait because he's dropping cash going out of style. 79.4 average, extremely underpriced. He's gone low the last 2 rounds. Obviously injured the one before, he had a 44 and a 54 the last 2. I expect him to keep dropping cash. He could end up as low as high threes, really.
He could drop to around that 380 mark. He is the perfect person for looking at that sort of run home if you still need to upgrade someone after the buys. As I said before about the Zorko and his run home, well, Heeney finishes with the Giants, Freo, Essendon, Saints, North and Suns. So he's the sort of perfect guy. If he gets down to sort of 380, 370, I might have a punt on it F6 because we know what he can do.
Or even F7, which is where I'm thinking, if you've got sufficient trades moving into the back end of the season to bring in someone like an Isaac Heeney at F7. The thing is now...
Who's your F6 then, DeGoey?
Well, so rounding my forwards out will be hopefully Marshall and Dangerfield. But so I'm looking at a Heeney maybe at an F7. The thing with Heeney right now is that with Sam Reid going down with an injury, with Funkin still injured as well, he's going to be required to play more forward. Plus, they're playing him more forward, obviously, because of the hand injury.
And Lizard's also injured, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. So it'll be... for the immediate future, his scoring potential is not going to be there. I agree with Swiz in that if you're looking at him, it's got to be someone that you pick up in a few weeks, and hopefully, he still staggers around that price, and then we can pick him up, after the buys maybe. But I can't see him as a option for now.
If he's 360, 370, I think I'm going there, to be honest.
That's all based on him sort of averaging 75, 82. So if he keeps putting in these 40s to 60 scores, he could get down to 300-ish, which would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's sideways. Well, not for these forward rookies, but you probably still have to go one down, one up.
Yep, I think that's it. That kind of rounds out the forwards now. That was probably the most time spent because they are all bad to some degree. So that's the difficult part. So that's why there's more time spent on this.
Would we all agree that, the reason why forwards is probably the most likely trade destination for Dunkley is purely because, if you trade Dunkley to a mid or a defender or whatever it may be, how many forward rookies are you now playing on field? And that's the biggest issue right now with most teams. Guys traded in Finn McRae, guys have got Waterman, guys have got... Tracy at
Fullerton, everyone. So many options. And if Rowe gets dropped, we'll obviously find out tomorrow night. But I do agree. And if you have Dustin Martin, then you're at more risk. So forwards is definitely where people are trying to scrounge some value and trying to work out the next best thing. So that's why more time was spent there. Now let's go. If you are in the hunt for a midfielder, we are basically, my opinion.
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm just dying over here and choking on my my drink. It's all good.
Die quietly. And I've muted him. Basically, my opinion is you need to go and have a look at McRae, Steele, Oliver, Walsh. Which one do you not have? And I would be trying to, because in my opinion, I think they're all must-haves. Which one don't you have and get them? And that's the easiest solution you will have as far as replacing Lockie Neale or if you're in the hunt for a midfielder.
Outside that, there are some...
Value?
There's value in speculative selections. With Dunkley out for a while, I really like Bont or potentially even Treloar, but Treloar's obviously got the injury issues. I really like Bont. a lot. And
McRae trumps all of them. Correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't have McRae, then...
Yep. Here's why I like Jack Steele. Now I'm thinking about paying overs for him, and I know his break-even's 170, and he's probably going to drop what says 15,000 if he scores a 136. I'm thinking about paying overs because I think he's still going to end up flatlining around low sixes anyway.
I think, I think you're probably picking him up around 600K, maybe a little bit under.
Yep. That would be the ideal world, but I think against Hawks, Gold Coast, North coming up, Adelaide coming up, I think he's going to average 130 over the next 7 rounds, and I want in.
Fair enough. It's not a bad little situation he's got going there.
Yep.
Oh, he's got Bulldogs though. Ugh.
Yeah, Geelong Bulldogs in the middle of that, and Sydney.
I love it, but yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you think is a must-have from the midfield that we haven't mentioned there, Swizzy?
Not that you haven't mentioned, no.
And so, if you had to priority them, could you give us your list of guys there that you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, I'm going to go Bont, Steele, Boak, Lyons.
Ooh, I don't mind at all. I love Lyons.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I love about Lyons? I suggested him in the preseason as someone to average about 110, and people laughed at me. Literally laughed. I'm like, what do you mean? He did the same last year. Nothing's happening to the midfield.
No, I think Pistol was pretty big on it, and I think I supported him from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
I said this year I think it was, and then I think next year or years after, when McCluggage and Berry, if they up their game, they could start to impact his scores, but I thought this year he was pretty safe. Merritt, I think, also is a little side mention there. Hasn't set the world alight yet, but last year he started off pretty slow and then averaged really well after. So I think Merritt's also a little sneaky side note for me, 587K.
The other thing with Bont is that obviously he's played a little bit of time forward and he's going to continue to play a little bit of time forward. But with Ugle-Hagan absolutely destroying the VFL at the moment, I think he's kicked 5 goals in the last 2 games he's played on back-to-back. And so he's a shout to come in this week. Or Josh Shaki is actually playing really, really well as well in the twos. So he could come in as well. If either of those guys come in and they don't get a tall out, that'll be interesting to see how they go moving forward. So with Dunkley out, there's going to be some more mid-time there. I think Bailey Smith probably gets more rotations, maybe Lockie Hunter more on the wing and more inside as well. So it will be interesting to see how it comes back to full circle almost. But yeah, I actually really like Bond.
Yep. They do have some good rounds coming out as well. If you have a look at this, his average against Richmond is 126.3. Bontempelli.
Yeah, I mean, Richmond just, they don't care where you get the ball as long as it's not in the 450, right?
And I really like Bont this week, even as a vice captain option, because who are we playing with? I don't think, we don't have Presley, we don't have Dusty. I'm saying we, but
Edwards played fantastic last week.
Graham.
Yeah. So Bont, I feel like we're going to get smashed this week, and the Bulldogs are going to have a field day in that midfield. So if you are bringing in Bont, he is a big option as VC this week too.
Yeah, I am keen on Bont. The other unknown, the underlying factor as well, once they get through their bye, after you get through Geelong, etc., their backend's really nice as well. North Melbourne, Sydney, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Melbourne, Essendon, Hawks, Port Adelaide. So what?
And Port Adelaide's not even part of Supercoach finals, which is great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, North Melbourne, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Essendon, Hawks to a degree. I think it's really good for Bulldogs.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Bont as an option. Like to the point where who's my first look. It's the first time that I've actually gone, oh, Dunkley's injured. I really like Bont here. And I'd almost want to trade him in over someone like an Oliver or Steele, because Steele's, probably 50K overs right now with a high break even. Oliver's just plugging away, but he's not killing it. Obviously, his upcoming run. I'm scared of Oliver's upcoming run, and the reason is he's a downhill skier of note. Like, he just loves beating up the weak teams. So that does scare me.
Why do you think he's in my side?
Well, the other one is Bont. And how many teams is Bont in? Because I don't think he's in many. So that would be...
No, Bont's got... His ownership's more than Oliver. He's in 25%.
Oh, really? Jesus. That's a lot.
Yeah. So, actually, they might have actually evened up this week. Yeah, Oliver's gone ahead of him by 100. So they're both 25%.
Wow, okay. Yep.
That's definitely solid. Let's talk about Lyons then quickly. He's 608K, so that's the part I don't like. He's expensive. He's more expensive than Oliver. He's more expensive than
Slightly
Merritt.
more expensive than Bont as well.
Yeah, so that's the thing I don't like. He's 608K, and there's a reason why he's still expensive. The positive part is he's actually only 3,000 up from the start of the year, so he has been consistent. He's in the ton club with McRae, has scored 100 or more every single round, 100 through to a high of 139. That's 6 tons in a row. Neale out, I think, helps him as well. He's now...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he will probably... Yeah, I think he's actually a really good option. I just don't know if I can pay that much money for him, which will probably mean he'll do well.
I mean, again, how many teams?
He's like 2,000 teams, 1%.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's why you can get him. So do you want a pod at 600K? It's tough at this stage of the season, but the one thing I will say about a pod is that the earlier you get him in, the more benefit you get. But obviously, it can go against you. Getting a pod at that price point means that it could really, really hurt you if that doesn't pan out. But every evidence is supporting. He's now got a 2-year average of almost 110. Like, what are you complaining about? Like, he's not a terrible selection. He's going to be top 10. If you've already got the other guys, no brainer selection in my opinion. So yeah, I don't mind him at all.
So would you go Steele though or Lyons?
Right now, probably Lyons, to be honest.
40K difference.
Just 170 break even, just to me, just doesn't do it. I mean, you got to go up. Do you have cash to go to him? I don't know.
I'm going to say the reason I had Steele above Lyons, and I'm not the biggest fan of Steele, but it's just because of the buy difference. The round 14 buy was 13. Round 13, I've already got McRae and Merritt, and looking at probably bringing in Bont this week, and I've got Walsh as well. So adding Lyons to that just stuffs my round 13 buy. Where Steele round 14, he's got no competition there from the mid. Apart from Oliver. So unless you're running Oliver and Petrarca and Fife, and that Steele's is a better buy option than Lyons.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that comes into consideration as well. When you're bringing in anyone at this point, is you got to take note of how your buys are structuring up. Most teams are looking pretty good for that I've seen around. But yeah, you definitely need to be lower in that first round because you're going to probably make at least 1 or 2 upgrades after that first week, and that will should be able to carry through in week 2 and then the final week of the buys. So just you can't go too heavy. But the thing, like I've now got 17 and I'd say premiums in an inverted comma because Taranto is part of that group, and I'm looking at my team now and. By the time that the buys roll around, I'm going to have 20 premiums. I only really need 3 more guys before the buys, and I'll have 20 premiums already before the buys even hit. So my team's going to be really quick to that, and I think there's going to be a lot of teams that you might actually get hit with that, having too many premiums in that first buy week that won't actually carry you through. Could be something to think about.
We're talking about the Uber premiums, but that's where we'll be moving on to talk about some of these cheaper guys. I'm sort of trying in my head go, well, do I want to save 150,000, hope one of these guys continues to go quite well, and then I can upgrade to another cheaper premium next week or a fallen premium and get my team to have more premiums, even if it isn't the Uber premiums, in case these last few rookies don't come on.
Well, and that's a very good point, is that I previously had a plan, and this is what as you already know, of just targeting Oliver and Steele because I need them in my side. But sometimes you just got to take the value when it presents. So another one that, looking at as a midfield option is Brayshaw, and it is at 479K with a break even of, I think it's in the 50s.
53.
53. So one that's going up, is it someone that you don't desperately need a Brayshaw, but when he hasn't been tagged, he's hit over 112 every single week. So he's definitely got that high-end potential. I know Freo have had a good run as well, which obviously bodes into that scoring potential. But it's not like we haven't seen this from Brayshaw. He averaged, 107 last year? It's not like it's unlike him to score well. We've seen him score well. He's got the role. He has the potential. He's got a great points per minute. He's only going to get better as a player, and he keeps impressing me every single week. The problem is he still plays those same teams that tagged him early in the year. He plays them back to back again later in the year. He's a tag liability now, so teams are tagging him. But that Freo midfield, man, honestly, between Fife, Mundy's just got a new lease on life. You got Brayshaw, you got Chera, and you've got Sarong. All of them are just absolutely killing it at the moment. And they seems like almost the new dogs in terms of the amount of talent they've got through that midfield. So, yeah, I don't see him as a must get, but I see him as a guy, if you're getting, say, a Zorko down, which is my plan, and you've got that extra to go up to a fallen premium, I don't hate him as a selection. So definitely one to look at.
For the record, Brayshaw only had 7 scores over, say, 112, 115, and average 101.3, not 107, Chris. That's a slight stretch of the imagination. Yeah, so for me, it's an interesting one there. Yeah, that's all I can say there is just to disprove Chris's notion. That's it.
I think he was averaging like 107 for most of the year, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think
Part of the year, once he got through.
But that's my thought about it. Like, yeah, still nearly 170k more than him at the moment, and obviously still the better scorer and the better player. But if that means you max all your cash out by getting Steele in, where somebody else might go, okay, I can move Goulden next week with that extra 170k and get another fallen premium, or maybe able to get a Treloar or someone like that. What would you rather in your team? Steele with a Goulden who might start dropping cash or might get rested soon, or would you rather Treloar and Brayshaw in your team?
Yeah, I'd rather, if you can upgrade again next week instead of holding another week, I think you try and make that strategic decision to use that cash, which is kind of the position I'm in. I could go 2 midfielders this week and play 2 rookies on field and then, get rid of Goulden next week for a forward. I could do that, but, I'll maximize all my cash will be gone, I think, by then.
Well, I'm actually leaning towards trading out Warner only because I have to. I'd love to trade out Goulden instead, but I'm actually 8k short of doing my optimal trades. So I need that extra little cash. So it's not ideal, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's a question that every team's going to be different with. Do you just get the best available guy, or do you get the value when you can? Now, every team's going to be different. I think if you need the forward, then you're obviously going to make cash anywhere you go outside of, say, a Ziebell, which is 550, or a Marshall. You're probably not going to make enough cash. So then what do you do with that other cash? Do you go down again so that you can upgrade next week and hope that you can go one down, one up? Or do you go, all right, I'm going to get still maintain my upgrade cadence, and then I'll get one this week, and then hopefully one down, one up still next week, depending on, I mean, a lot of the rookies are ready to go. Warner at 330, he probably can make a little bit more cash. I reckon he can arguably get to about 400 if you want to hold him. I think he's about 340 now, or high 330s. Goulden's, I don't know what to say about Goulden anymore right now, but he's looking to drop cash potentially this week, but
he's
a big score could do anything. We're still waiting on Flynn. Power looks to probably get to about 400. Chapman, depending on this week, could go either way.
He could, plateau at
there's
275.
There's still enough cash around there to make.
What about Cozzy and Jordan? Any comments, boys?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so the only other thing, looking into strategy, and the last thing we'll touch on, and we'll finish up very quickly, is looking at, some of you might have, Kaczynski or brought in, Jordan. So what's his name? The defender? Jordan? No.
I don't know who you're
Port
talking
Adelaide defender. Jones. Different J. Now, the only other recognition is with some DPP swing that some of you might have, you might need a defender, and you might have to trade out sort of Neale, or do a little bit of, put Cox in your forward line, get rid of Dunkley and get a defender because your defense sucks. That's fine. You're fixing those things. I think the only defenders that you can note is Ridley you don't get yet if you don't have him already. He's dropping cash. You wait on him. So for me, I think it's Mills, Stewart, Lloyd, Rich, Houston. And for me, I'll get your Doherty. So basically the top 10 I think we got at the moment. We got Ridley, Mills, Stewart, Lloyd, Rich, Laird, Bowes, Doherty, Houston. I'll get your probably 1, 2, 3 defenders, and we'll finish on that, I think, boys. For me, I am going with Houston, number 1. I'm going with Lloyd, number 2, and Mills for me, number 3.
I think Ridley's still one. And the reason why is
No, I'm
because...
talking about for this week.
Yeah,
or
I'm talking for this week.
You're paying $600K?
Yep. Because the thing is, first of all, how many defenders do you already have? Most people already have 5 premium defenders.
Not most. The lucky few.
A lot of people do, I would say. So if you do not have Ridley, but you've already got 5 premium defenders, well, then why wouldn't you just pay it and get him now? He's going to score 120 the next 2 weeks, right? So yes, he's going to drop cash, but if you need a defender,
get him.
Just get him.
Fair call.
So I just don't think that there's a question there. That's the first thing. The other thing is, in terms of value, I think probably Houston is easily the best value pick. He's got a true average of 111, which puts him as the second highest averaging forward.
Break even of 140.
Defender.
Break even 140 could wait slightly on him.
He obviously had that injury where he subbed out on 48. So outside of that, he's averaged 111. So he's the best value pick. And then I think Stewart's probably the safest pick outside of that. So that's how I would rank them in terms of 1, 2, 3. Over to you, Swiz.
Not even Lloyd. Wow.
Value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Lloyd's not value. He's just going to average in the same, right?
All right,
I think Stewart's even averaging more, isn't he?
What's Lloyd averaging? 106 at the moment. So Stewart and Mills are averaging more.
Yeah. So you're right. Thank you very much.
I think Lloyd averages more than Stewart for the rest of the year, Chris.
Possibly, but is he value? What do you reckon, Swiz? Give us your 1, 2, 3 there, mate.
I want to agree with you because I traded Ridley actually because it was the only way I could see myself getting in Oliver. And I'm in that position where I've got the 5 defenders, but if Highmore doesn't play, I'm looking at bringing another defender in and then Ridley when he drops cash. So Ridley technically should be my number 1 because I know he's going to score really well the next couple of weeks. But if you're the counter argument to your thing with the 5 defenders, one idea I have is moving Lloyd in as my M8, bringing in the 4 defender this week, bringing in Ridley in a couple of weeks, and then using a value pick later on as like an M8, M9, and Laird can swing around. But that's just a bit of forward thinking there, which is making me not have Ridley number 1. So my number 1 this week is Stewart. I think he's rolling in Geelong's fantastic. And he takes a lot of intercept marks, which he should do against the Swans. My number 2 is Mills. And then, but depend. I'm not going to say Lloyd or Laird because everyone should have them. But I think Lloyd's actually only 33%. So if you don't have him, you probably should get him. Or I really like Doherty. Doherty's towed up Essendon a few times.
Oh, yeah.
It does like to score. And Bulldogs in Melbourne, though obviously are flying, he should see a lot of ball down that way for the next couple of games after that. So I actually quite like Sam Doherty. We know what he can do when he's and now he's past all those injuries. So I'll have him actually at number 3.
One thing I'll say about Doherty as an owner, and I watching him play, he's played brilliantly this season, and I don't think you can argue that he's played well. On top of having a very high floor and scoring well in Supercoach, his actual gameplay is very, very good. Now, sometimes he does, unfortunately, turn the ball over, but he does those long kicks down the line that unfortunately go to the opposition, which is really annoying. I completely agree with you in what you said with Ridley in terms of, if you've already traded him out and you're obviously waiting for his cash to drop and you do have that spot that you can swing in. The one thing that we're not mentioning is Whitfield. And so Whitfield is obviously likely to come back this week. I'm pretty confident that he will.
Would you go early though if you need a premium?
No chance. No chance I'd be going early. I want
1% owned.
There is literally no chance you're picking him up now. You're going to get him in 3 weeks. But again, so in your situation, Swiz, and my situation, I've already got 6 premium defenders, including Laird and Ridley. So I'll probably be maintaining Laird in my midfield at M7 or M8 or whatever it is, and then getting Whitfield in if he shows what I think this game right now can show. If he can move the ball out of that back line with those 45 kicks and they continue to play the game, kick it to Whitfield, yes, he will be, because I think I
like that game. Kick it to Whitfield.
Oh, it's a great game. At 560k.
Where's kick it to Jelly?
I mean, he could come out and go 120 and you have to get him, right? Like he could be a must have in 3 weeks time. Or he could, start off slowly and we work our way into it and he drops a bit of cash and then you can have a look at him. But I just feel like they're at their best when Whitfield is distributing out of the half back line, and that's really their problem's been their ball movement moving forward. So,
have they confirmed that's where he's going?
And no, we don't know yet. So that's what I mean.
So wait and see.
Yeah, so definitely one to wait. But yeah, that's why I think potentially Ridley's a little bit more important than you think.
Yes.
So
fair call.
And the other thing is, I do believe that potentially Whitfield could be a better averaging last defender than whoever you're going to get as your M8, if that makes sense. So if your options and for the same value.
And for the flexibility.
And for the money and for everything, right? So, yes, if that means you can get someone who's going to average you 110 plus at 560K in 3 weeks, that you kind of got to get that, right? So, yeah. Anyway, that's my opinion.
I agree. I believe. You said I believe a lot today. I believe.
I believe.
What do you
think about Whitfield, Swizzy?
No, Whitfield's a great player, and these rules should suit him. So we'll obviously have a look at him. And the only issue could be if the Giants continue to struggle. There's no guarantees there, but we've seen enough over him over the last few years that he should come in and do reasonably well.
Yep. Whitfield's great. Just ask Lambert. A lot of great Sunday barbecues hiding from Asada. Look,
good times.
That wraps us up. A little bit longer segment because of the diabolical trade scenarios.
Don't captains and vice captains.
Oh, yes.
Oh, season VCs. Now, this is where we differ a little bit because Chris makes a good point. I am going VC McRae into Gawn, I think, based on Gawn's previous history against the Dogs. The Roos, but I am now slightly tempted on the Grundy.
Yeah, I'm definitely going likely VC McRae into Grundy, and I think that the reasons are obvious. So VC and McRae makes sense. Richmond's weak in midfield, plus they don't tag. It's going to mean there's going to be a lot of points in that midfield for the Dogs, plus also no Dunkley. So there's every chance that the McRae just comes out and has one of his 160 games this week. And then obviously the backup captain on Grundy, Gold Coast have either a undersized ruckman that's played 2 games of AFL, or B, an underdone Zach Smith that is arguably the worst ruckman in the league.
He's coming in. Zach Smith's playing.
That's my plans. VC McRae into C Grundy at this stage. Swizzy, what are you on?
If I bring in Bont, it's going to be Bont against Richmond because I can see him just going berserk. But yeah, it'll be either McRae or Bont into. It's going to be either Grundy or Oliver against North. I think this is one of those games where Oliver will just have a field day. I don't like Gawn as much against Goldie, as much as he's towed him up a couple of times. But I can see myself. It's probably going to end up being one of the Bulldogs into Grundy.
Yeah, I thought about Oliver too. Could be a nice little difference.
Honestly, if you have a look at Oliver's best games over his career, they were all against underdone shit, bottom of the ladder teams like Gold Coast for multiple seasons where he goes 170, 180. Legit. And is
there a way to just ignore McRae and VC Oliver? Is there a way?
Look, I mean, sure. If you really want to, that is something to look at because if you want to take that risk, the captain and Oliver. What's the worst case scenario?
You're completely right there, Chris. Because what did he go like the Crows last year? 205 against them.
He's a huge downhill skier, and it's what Chris is average from 108 to 115 to 120. He has these just huge games during the season against bottom of the ladder teams. Just goes ham on them. So
if Waterman doesn't play, then you have 2 hours and 10 minutes to watch him go. But who you bring in? No one. Don't worry.
No, there's no
scrap captain. That. No, there's no captain out there.
No, unless you want to captain Dockers. Yeah, boy.
Walshin.
Yeah,
bad
no, not interested. You could back up Fife, but in the derby. But yeah, is that game even going? Yeah, it is.
Is it a derby or a derby?
Isn't the derby?
I don't know. Swiz, thank you for joining us, mate. Chris will have to send you a check for your overtime and for the delayed start. We're also looking forward for our beer birthday donations. I think Venter Roof is donating beers as ahead of Sunday. So
bit of a shout out.
Next shout out, Venter Roof, our friend Damien Gunn, shouting out some beers coming up soon. Also, if you've held on this long, shout out to Shane Mason. I spoke to him tonight, said that he loves our podcast. He said, who are those guys that join you at the start of the year? And I said, SC Elites. And he said, oh, yeah, right. But he didn't even know who Dr. Supercoach were. He was watching, listening to Phantoms Led and all these other guys. And I was like, oh, he listens to us. So proud of you, Shane Mason.
I'm proud of you, brother.
Proud of you. But
you don't say that.
That's it. That wraps us up. Thank you very much, Swiz, mate. Thank you for your time and for your expertise and all the lovely insight that we can't bring to the table.
No, I appreciate it, guys. While we're at it too, just hopefully we have a week without carnage this week. I just want to give a shout out to my cousin who's a VFL player. Also, he did his ankle on the weekend, so I hope a recovery to you and all those footballers who went down on the weekend, and hopefully we're carnage free this week in the Supercoach world.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Did you ask all the questions the missus put forward there, Swiz?
We did. I'm sure she's very happy. We even got Heeney in, so so she can listen to me talk for another 2 hours about Supercoach.
Sounds like she never gets that at home, right?
Sounds like she likes getting Heeney in, if you know what I mean.
I mean, who wouldn't really? He's a good looking man.
The blonde stallion.
All serious, boys, all good, and hopefully catch up with you soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Catch you later, guys.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.